It's always crazy to think how far and fast audio and video games progressed. We went from bleeps and bloops all the way to fully orchestrated CD quality music. But there's this wonderful time after the bleeps and bloops, but before the full orchestra. I dub it the Midi era. What I mean by the Midi era is pretty much consoles all the way from the Super Nintendo to the 7th generation. In my opinion, that's like the time when video game music got real. I mean, there were still plenty of games with chip tunes and that kind of soundtrack, but you know, they chose that sound, they weren't bound by it. It's always interesting to see how many workarounds devs and composers used back in the day to get the sounds that they did. I mean, the N64 didn't even have a sound chip. The music had to share resources with everything else because it used the CPU. And being on cartridge, that means limited space and no CD quality audio. That's why sound samples sounded like this.
You guys enjoy yourself and all that, and I'll probably see you sometime next week.
Nice and low quality. There was an upside to this, however, compared to CD music, and that's the fact that the songs were tied to the game in speed. So with an MP3 file, it might sound better, but it would be harder to sync up with what's going on in the game since it's just playing a file. Meaning things like MIDI channel fading wouldn't be as easy on a CD-based game as it would be on a cartridge. I mean, now it's all possible in either medium, but man, back then, it was impressive. Super Mario Galaxy, the first game I played with an orchestrated soundtrack. And boy, did it make the Wii worth a damn, besides playing GameCube games. Finally, there's no more limitations. Composers can finally record as ambitious of a soundtrack that they could ever want to record. But I'd like to argue that the limitations before orchestrated VGM made video game songs more unique. I mean, so many different mediums of entertainment have had orchestrated music for a long ass time. So a lot of orchestrated VGM can begin to blend together much like movie soundtracks. Even if a composition is really good, it's played by other people. I mean, it'll have a more human element opposed to hardware producing MIDI sounds, but most orchestras use so many of the same instruments. For example, Bob-omb Battlefield in Mario 64. The lead in that song is actually the voice of the pink Bob-ombs. Now let's listen to it orchestrated. Sure, it sounds really fucking good, but I feel like it doesn't sound as unique. So which is actually better? Well, neither, but also both. I think games like Banjo-Kazooie, Ocarina of Time, those kinds of games that use MIDI soundtracks sound better with the MIDI. I mean, that's just what they were designed for, you know? That being said, the Twilight Princess is my favorite original soundtrack for any video game of all time, but I still think it should have been orchestrated. Even though orchestra soundtracks can start to sound generic, like I said before, Twilight Princess's compositions are so unique that I think they shine through even being orchestrated. So it's really up to you. Which is better? Tell me in the comments. And also thank you guys for watching this video. It's a little different from what I've been doing, and don't worry, I'm not done doing it. If you have games to recommend for me to compose, leave that in the comments as well. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later.